Good evening. We are glad you could join us tonight. This is the 7th day of November, the year 2024. Indeed, the day that Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki delivered his exit speech from the Ministry of Interior and National Coordination, even as he transitioned fully to the office of Deputy President. Key in focus is his achievement under a span of 2 years that he has served under that particular office, highlighting ending insecurity madness as one of the key pillar and of course one of the keystones and achievement that he anchors his success based on that, ending insecurity madness in banditry prone areas. That is something that Kindiki really held in high esteem. But in equal measure, Kindiki has also taken blame in some of the inadequacies and of course the setback that his ministry maybe to some extent might not have delivered up to the expectation of Kenyans. On that, he owned that and many more in our subsequent bulletin tonight. But first thing first, our top stories tonight. Tonight, we have overachieved. Kindiki delivers exit speech as Interior CS, highlights key achievement under his 2-year tenure in office. Don't blame the police. Police IG Douglas Kanja rubbishes off claims of police abductions and killings. Also tonight, United Together. Ruto calls for unity among nations to help tackle continental challenges. Plus, pain, confusion, and hope. Ministry of Health acknowledges challenges rocking SHIF, promises a smooth transition from NHIF to SHIF.
This is KUTV Primetime News with Auma Evans.
Alright, I'm your captain tonight. My co-pilot is Sami Okello, and thank you for aboarding the flight KUTV Primetime News tonight. So let's travel together to the final destination. Now, kicking off, Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki has highlighted key success from his 2 years term as Interior Cabinet Secretary, particularly in countering banditry and dismantling passport cartels. Speaking in Nairobi at Harambee Annex on Thursday, Kindiki reflected on the dire security landscape he inherited in 2022, marked by high crime rates and instability across northeastern Kenya, Lamu, and North Rift Valley. Kindiki credited his decision to declare certain region disturbed and dangerous in 2023, followed by military-supported security operation launched in February. This strategy, he stated, effectively drove bandits out and restored relative calm to terror-prone areas. Now, still matters related to security. Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja, while appearing in Parliament to answer questions regarding the abductions and killings witnessed in the country, stated that the National Police Service was not involved in the disappearance of nearly 29 individuals that are currently missing. Current number indicates that 57 cases of abductions and kidnappings were reported from June 2024 during the Gen Z-led protest and against the Finance Bill 2024. Of this, 22 individuals were found alive, 6 found dead, and 29 remain missing up to date. Kanja, however, affirmed that the police will remain actively engaged in all cases, particularly those involving abduction and kidnapping. Now, from security matters to health. The Ministry of Health has acknowledged existing challenges facing the new Social Health Insurance Fund and has assured Kenyans that it remains committed to resolving these challenges for smooth transition of the National Health Insurance Fund, or if you prefer the acronym NHIF, to new Social Health Insurance Fund, SHIF. Speaking before the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Health, Cabinet Secretary for Health Dr. Deborah Barasa noted that 13.8 million beneficiaries have so far been registered by November. Thioma Sharia with the details.
Since its launch on October 1st, a recent spot check across counties revealed that several challenges, including access, delays, and inadequate specialized care, are troubling the new Social Health Insurance Fund, thereby hindering timely medical care and intensifying the financial strain on patients. Appearing before the National Assembly's Departmental Committee on Health, chaired by Honorable Dr. Robert Pukose, to respond to questions about the transition from NHIF to SHIF, Cabinet Secretary for Health Dr. Deborah Mlongo Baraza stated that 6,517 healthcare facilities are now using the SHA claims portal to streamline their claims processing despite challenges in some counties.
Regarding registration of members, which commenced on 1st July 2024 and is ongoing countrywide through the USSD code *147# and web-based through www.sha.go.ke, we report therefore that as of 5th November 2024, a total of 13,896,650 people have been registered, and out of this 1,069,266 dependents have been added as dependents of their principal.
Dr. Baraza, while terming the NHIF to SHIF transition as pivotal in Kenya's journey towards achieving a universal health coverage for all Kenyans, linked the successful implementation of the scheme and registration of beneficiaries to community health promoters who have been at the forefront of the registration process.
I want you to give us explanations. You are talking of 121,236 CHPs.
Yes.
Have enrolled on ECs against a total target of 107. Can you explain that?
Some of the CHPs use their personal phones to enroll.
Who are we talking about? This 121 is what now? You have more CHPs than the targeted. And that becomes an achievement. How are we taking care of them?
Chair, do we have ghost CHPs? That is the correct way to put it.
Accompanied by the chair and CEO of the Social Health Authority alongside PS for Public Health and Professional Standards, Ms. Mary Mudhoni, and Director General for Health, Dr. Patrick Amoth, Ms. Baraza boasted over steady progress in the transition process, tabling a report on the means testing in 8 counties.
All registered SHA beneficiaries are entitled to free access to primary health care service under the Primary Health Care Fund at Level 2 dispensary, Level 3 health center, and selected Level 4 health facilities, as well as emergency services in all health facilities. Access to the Social Health Insurance Fund requires beneficiaries to have made contributions to the Social Health Insurance Fund.
The Ministry of Health now states that it remains committed to building public trust and advancing universal health coverage by ensuring the smooth rollout of SHIF and UHC services across the country. Theo Masharia for KUTV.
Right, thank you, Theo Masharia, for that comprehensive reporting. Our President William Ruto, during his visit to Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, emphasized the need for thorough consultative reforms to enhance the accountability, efficiency, and effectiveness of African Union institutions, addressing the Permanent Representatives Committee comprising of African ambassadors. The AU president advocated for the need of unity among the Africa states to help tackle continental challenges, as Ochieng Cynthia now reports.
During his visit to Addis Ababa for the World Without Hunger Conference, President William Ruto emphasized the urgent need for African nations to collaborate on producing more nutritious food and addressing hunger challenges. His sentiments were supported by Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali, who echoed the importance of unity in tackling these critical issues across the continent.
The only way out of this tragic failure requires us to undertake bold and ambitious collective actions in tackling the root causes of hunger. We must develop agricultural communities and systems that meet the unique needs of our diverse requirements.
Integrating technology, promoting innovation, and building climate resilience must be central to our collective efforts. Let us transform these commitments into action.
Additionally, President Ruto pointed out that one of Africa's biggest challenges is insecurity, which particularly affects investment and trade, further stressing on the importance of investing in Africa's peace and security to foster broader development, mainly agriculture across the continent.
The 20,000 AU peacekeeping force are slowly fading away. And we need, as Africa, to begin to take charge of our peace support mechanisms in our continent.
Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga emphasized the importance of Africa coming together for the sake of future generations, additionally calling for the implementation of resolutions that would safeguard the continent's infrastructure and resources, ensuring they benefit the people of Africa.
And Africa is the richest continent on the planet Earth in terms of resources. The paradox is the richest is also the poorest in terms of living conditions of its people. This is what we need to be dealing with. And if we deal with that, Africa will rise.
The conference aim is to discuss strategies and methods for improving agriculture in Africa and to promote the efficient use of resources and infrastructure across the continent. Ochieng Cynthia for KUTV News.
All right, as part of the ongoing consultative on the review of Kenya's foreign policy, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi emphasized Parliament's critical role in shaping the nation's foreign policy, ensuring it aligned with the Kenya's strategic interest. Mudavadi disclosed that the ministry is working on finalizing the revised foreign policy document, which will be transitioned into sessional paper. Take a look. During a National Assembly Foreign Relations Committee roundtable, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi underscored that the revised foreign policy will reflect the country's evolving priorities on the global stage, addressing key areas such as diplomacy, security, and economic cooperation. The consultations, which involve various stakeholders, are designed to ensure that foreign policy framework is inclusive and addresses the need of all Kenyans.
When you say it's Kenya's foreign policy, is the deployment of the personnel in the foreign service reflective of that Kenyan foreign policy? And we're clear by having coherent and objective policy positions on this matter. We really must domesticate our foreign policy to get a better buy-in.
Principal Secretary for Parliamentary Affairs Aurelia Rono highlighted recent advancement in the labor migration space.
The labor migration policy is already in Parliament for consideration, session of paper number 5 of 2023, while the Executive's Labor Migration and Management Bill shall be introduced to Parliament very soon. I believe those two legislative initiatives are very key, even as we work on this policy.
In support of these efforts, Principal Secretary for Diaspora Affairs Roslyn Njogu underscored the need for legislative safeguards to protect the rights and investment of Kenyans diaspora, ensuring that Kenya's foreign policy reflects in the interests of citizens abroad.
A policy-driven approach, of course, is critical. It allows us to bring together our thoughts and to interrogate them and to socialize them to colleagues across government and across other stakeholders. The review, therefore, of this foreign policy allows us to sit back and ask ourselves important questions. And I'm grateful that part of this engagement is sitting down with Bunge, not just to explain what this foreign policy is, but to hear, especially from Bunge as representatives of the people, what does this foreign policy mean? What is the language that makes sense?
With the ongoing review of Kenya's foreign policy, steps are in place in advancing the revised policy document, transitioning it into sessional paper for parliamentary presentation to establish a comprehensive, coherent, and relevant foreign policy framework. Right, that is a good note to take our first break here on KUTV Primetime News. Remember, plenty more to follow after the break. See you in a while.
Katika maisha yetu ya leo, wakulima na jamii nyingi kwa ujumla wanakumbatia teknolojia mbalimbali na kilimo hai ili kuondoa magonjwa sugu na kuongeza usalama na utoshelevu wa chakula. Mbolea asili imepunguza asidi kwenye udongo na kuongeza mavuno chungu nzima. Wajua tuko shambani, na humu shambani pia kuna ng'ombe, kuna kuku, na wanaacha uchafu wao. Na huo uchafu si wa kutupwa, ni wa kutumika katika kilimo kama mbolea. Kwa sababu mimea hii imekuwa kutumia mbolea ya hawa wanyama. Wakulima mbalimbali wamekumbatia teknolojia ili kuokoa gharama ya ukulima na kutumia nafasi zilizopo katika mashamba yao.
Welcome to Focus on Health, a show on all matters health, wellness and lifestyle. I am your host, Joyful Fender, and on this episode, we discuss diabetic foot wounds and ulcers alongside Dr. Shilpa Mulki of the Lions Diabetes Care Center.
So diabetes-related complications are many. So they start from non-ulcerative, that means non-wounds, and they go into full-fledged wounds. So it could be as simple as what the public, a layperson may call a corn, a hardness in the skin. It goes as far as that's the beginning stage of a wound.
To many, farming is just an income-generating endeavor. But for the students with intellectual disabilities at Treeside Special School, farming is more than a curriculum lesson.
The therapy of going to practical, to do, and that feeling of I'm able to is brought clear that I'm able to do just like what I saw my brother doing at home.
Guided by their teachers, these students engage in organic farming both in the open farm and the greenhouse.
Chemicals and disabilities, they don't rhyme. We should not make our children more disabled by eating chemicals.
Join me, Anyango Sylvia, this Sunday as we explore how farming in the competency-based curriculum is therapeutic to special need learners, building their confidence and social skills.
are watching KUTV Primetime News with Auma Evans.
Right, welcome back and thank you for keeping, or rather for choosing to stay with us. Remember, you can talk to us on all of our social media platforms. We are coming to you live on YouTube at KUTV Live, that is at KUTV News Live. You can tweet us on X at KUTV_Kenya at Auma Evans. The hashtag to always use is KUTV Primetime News. Now let's continue. Rice fields in Mwea are now battleground as local farmers struggle to protect their crops from devastating impact of the snail, and as KUTV's Hussein Rukia explains, the snail, notorious for its ability to slash yield, feeds voraciously on young rice seedlings, leaving farmers in distress and economies vulnerable to substantial losses.
Rice farmers in Mwea are now urged to drain waters from their farm after transplanting seedlings in a bid to curb the rising menace of snails that feed on young rice seedlings. This expert says work in controlling the pest since it cannot survive without water. The sensitization came up during a practical training session organization by Carlo, aiming to unlock rice farmers' agribusiness potential in raising quality seedlings, transplanting and management of seedbeds. Dr. Ruth Musila, Center Manager, Mwea Research Center, acknowledged the farmer concerned about golden apple snails as she encouraged them to use biological methods as opposed to chemicals that may have side effects.
And we have been able to take them through that process of management of the golden apple snails. Instead of using the chemicals, which we know they have an effect to the environment, we are encouraging them to use biological control or any other control where we are not using chemicals.
On her part, Lydia Mundia, a local rice farmer, urged the government to fast-track research on ways to control the snails as they don't affect the rice only but also spread human diseases.
Lakini snail hata ikikukata kwa mguu hata wewe unagonjeka. Lakini ni mbaya kabisa, ni mbaya kabisa. Wa serikali naomba mfanye kazi ya kujarifia hiyo snail iishe. Nikiisha tutafurahi sana.
On the farm demonstrations, farmers acquired a range of farm management and other skills that enable them to select appropriate method to manage crop, enabling them to get maximum output and profit. Rukia Hussein, KUTV.
Right now, let's switch gears to the United States. Americans have expressed mixed reaction to President-elect Donald Trump's strong win after an expert who had spoken before the election had predicted that the race to the White House between the two presidential contenders was going to be a close one.
I'm not upset or anything. I'm not happy. I'm not upset or anything like that. At the end of the day, everyone still got a job to do. Life goes on, so can't stop. Got to keep going. So that's pretty much my thoughts on it. I'm not disappointed at the outcome, and I never think things are going to be okay. So, especially when it comes to presidents and just politics in general, one thing that politics have shown us that things are never going to be, okay, or things may look one way, but it's really another way. So,
I'm really worried about Donald Trump winning the election. I think he flirts with tyranny a lot, and so I'm worried about what that's going to usher for the United States.
Now, why do you say that?
He said he was going to be a dictator on day one, and I know that J.D. Vance, he has said a lot of things about Ukraine too, that he is not a fan of how the war is going, and I'm afraid that they don't understand the consequences of what they're saying.
I have mixed feelings about it. I think I would have liked to have different options. So I had a very hard time making a decision with this election. I believe that God is on his throne. And as long as God is on his throne, which will always be true, then I think everything ultimately will be okay. But in the meantime, we might have some rocky roads.
My personal thoughts, let the country still keep running, let American people still do what they need to do so we can stay together and keep the country running. That's my views on it. We make this country, and we have to keep working together to make the country run.
Very disappointed in the direction of the country. Apparently a lot of people feel that way, but for me, the direction we're about to take is going to make things quite dark and a lot worse for my kids.
Why do you say that?
I don't think that we're going to have a president who my kids can admire. He has very little concern for the needs of other people and is mainly interested in himself. And that shows in his policies as well.
So I'm neutral when it comes to politics, yeah, so I didn't really vote in this election.
So do you follow it at all?
I do, just to see what the outcome is going to be. You know.
And would it have mattered to you if one or the other had won? Did it matter in a way?
Not really, because I'm a person who reads the Bible, and so the Bible helps us to appreciate that whoever wins, they really can't answer the problems of mankind. The Bible says only one king can actually do that, and that's Jesus Christ. He can solve the problems that face mankind.
Results, I'm a man of faith, so I just trust in God. I mean, God knows what's best, even when man doesn't. So if God chose who he chose to win this race, then I believe God has a purpose for it. And I just believe in whatever he's going to do to whoever is president.
Right, let's take yet another very short break. When we come back, up next, sports news.
Hi, my name is Stella Tioi.
Jina langu naitwa Okemwa Mwokoa James.
This is Mandela Gaya.
Ugonjwa ulipokuja ulichukua siku 3 ukaniweka in coma. 20 wamezikwa, 2 ndio wako hai.
I don't even know how it feels to see.
I feel like I cannot express myself well the way somebody who can walk can actually express themselves.
Ilichukua muda mwingi mrefu tena mpana ili kuikubali kwamba mimi siwezi tembea tena.
I've come to actually accept myself.
Ukijaribu kumsimamisha mtu umwambie tafadhali nionyeshe njia,
They find it quite strange talking to you.
You should just make schools integrated,
Inclusive setups.
by providing the right facilities.
Naam, ungana nami ua lako linalonukia na kuvutia waridi tamu katika mitindo ya kipwani hapa KUTV. Katika toleo hili la Nairobi basi tarajia mambo makubwa sana. Kutakuwa na vyakula vya kipwani kama vile shawarma. Watu hawajui shawarma nini? Kuna biriani, kuna vyakula ambavyo vimepikwa na vikasukwa kwa kutumia nazi. Bila kusahau mazungumzo ya kusisimua na wataalamu waliobobea kwa mambo ya ndoa, mambo ya Uswahili basi, mambo ya mashairi.
Jamani swahibu zangu mliopo maskani, hatuonani wenzangu, najua mwanitamani.
Kosi kupata tarabu, chakacha, midundiko. Yani hapo ni pale ambapo viuno vinazungushwa kisawasawa na kubiringishwa ni kana kwamba havina mfupa. Kwenye mitindo ya kipwani hapa KUTV, ukiwa nami waridi tamu. Usikose matamu.
Okay, now let's talk matters sporty. Our Sports Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has called for transparency and accountability in the next year's Athletics Kenya elections. Speaking at the 2024 Chemususu Half Marathon launch at Talanta Plaza in Nairobi, Murkomen reaffirmed his commitment to strengthening governance within Sports Federation, beginning with the transparent elections. AK last held general elections in 2015, where current President Lieutenant General retired Jackson Tuwe came to power. New elections were scheduled for 2017. They were halted by a court order after 10 applicants contested the process. From athletics to football action, Arsenal's struggle continues after they suffered a 1-0 loss in the hands of the informed Inter Milan at the Giuseppe Meazza Stadium in Italy. Hakan Calhanoglu thumped in the only goal in the 45th minute through a penalty kick after Arsenal's Mikel Merino handled the ball in the box to seal Inter's important win. In other results, Atletico Madrid recorded a 2-1 victory against PSG, while Barcelona thrashed AK Crvena. At the same time, Aston Villa tested their first defeat in the campaign after losing 1-0 to Club Brugge in Belgium. Alright, we are done for today, but let me leave you with something to think about. Well, a wise man once said, life is black and white. In plain paper like this one, it means there is dark days, hard times, and better days. So when the good days and the better days, enjoy the moment. When the dark days, in the dark days, still rejoice, hoping that maybe tomorrow the day might be brighter than today. So that's where we leave it at this particular point. Many thanks for the men and women behind the scene and all those who made this production a success, and not forgetting you, our esteemed viewers, for always keeping us a company. My good name is always Auma Evans. Savokelo has been our sign language interpreter tonight. Until next time, let's do this. Same place, same time. Bye bye for now.